are live from day one at London competition. This is Sid, this is Chris here. He's a master sommelier, and we're going to have some fun about, what are the current challenges that sommeliers are facing, and how do you hire, how do you retain? I think this is a game about retention. So I think next 12 months for sure, we've come to that stage where we finally hired. It was a hard time to hire. Now it's the phase of retention. So Chris, why don't you give us, context about your journey? How you ended up where you are. What are some milestones that happened?
Oh wow! I don't know how long you have, but if we start that way, look, been in the country for 25 years now, so traveled extensively, worked for fantastic people, with fantastic people, met some amazing people throughout the world. In the world of wine, especially when you get that bug, and everybody has that bug around, it creates that synergy, that symphony. But it's true that over the last probably about 5 years, things are starting to get a bit more complicated. Obviously, we went through political issues in this country, and lately we had obviously the COVID that impacted enormously our industry worldwide.
Yeah.
And I think the true challenge, but the beauty of where we are now is exactly the people, the staff members, the team members that we have. They are here because they want to be here. So the beauty and the real enforcement that is to be made, and on the positive side, is how you retain them. What can you do to retain them, and what needs to be done to be retain them. So if you kind of devise those three, I think at least with Tao and Hakkasan, the way we see it is that obviously there is a salary aspect. We need to increase, we need to look after that and to look after them. Obviously the conditions needs to be right.
I'll keep double clicking so that way there is some takeaway, right? So when you said salary, what kind of things you aim for internally, like 10%, 20% growth, you want to make sure you're showing very clearly that financially this is going to happen? Yeah,
we have changed our band of rates basically according to positioning. So between commis sommelier, senior sommelier, we have also much more refined and defined what job descriptions are part of those roles, and therefore, and then whomever shows commitment, then they've got a little plus. And also, so in that part we worked on that, but also we also approached everything that has to do with training. We really are pushing toward better training, motivational, again for that retention, but also to give people a view that it's a career path that has a future. True. I mean, I've been doing this for 35 years now, and I'm not intending to stop. And people, all of us in the room, we will always go to restaurants. We will look forward to go to restaurants. So it has to be an interaction between people. So I believe in showing that aspect of our beautiful industry and giving people what they haven't really seen over the last 15 years.
And what are those kind of things?
But what I said, the trainings, the recognition in terms of the hard work, in terms of salary, and we do also a lot of incentives. So again, linked with our suppliers, our fantastic wine producer, we create basically attraction as it's commercial attraction. So you sell most of the rosé, and
you get a trip to Provence.
And you go. That's exactly that. It doesn't have to be super commercial. I don't really kind of aim to do so. Yeah. But on the things that needs to be done and can be done, there's a lot to be worked on. Or we do incentive on special bottles or special glass of wine, Coravin, and so on and so forth. And then at the end of the day, the best seller over 3 months get a magnum. And a nice anchet and a little piece of pepper. So it's all trying to give again back to the team what they deserve, not just in terms of money, but also in terms of little gifts.
Do you do one-to-one meetings with your people?
Oh yes.
So now in that, how do you understand? What is your question? How you understand what's his or her motivation? Because everyone's different. Some can tell you, I just want more money. Some can tell you, I want a trip, I want to learn more, I want to do WSET, can you pay for my WSET? So what kind of things do you ask?
So we pay for WSET. Obviously, we don't pay just for the sake of paying. We give contract according to that. So it's about 12 months extra on your contract, as if you take whatever level of WSET. I think we do I mean, all your question, I would say, I would nod and say, yes, we do that, we do that, we do that. Of course, there is some angles, but I think the real challenge for most of our team members is the commitment. Is that, they look at the Master Sommeliers exam, they look at the diploma exam, the MWs, the AAC diploma, the competition, and they're like, oh, yes. Sure. But then all of a sudden, when they actually realize the amount of work, they start to kind of get cold feet. And I think this is where people and staff members will kind of struggle to understand that, yes, it's another level of work. It's another level of abolition, I would say. You don't think about your friend, you don't think about yourself, you don't think you think about where you want to be in 5 years' time, and still it's a bit complicated.
In the last 18 months, we've all seen a lot of churn happening, right, in people. What were your learnings from that? Where you what kind of things you thought that you can improve, and where you always learn from it when someone leaves?
But again, that's exactly what you said, Sid, earlier. It's really the one-to-one. It's really kind of digging, maybe not the right word, but actually having that relationship with each individual, or her or him, and then understand what's their challenge, what's their point of accuracy, what's where they want to be within the next 2 years, how motivated they are, and how you can, like a racing car, finely tune it in order for that person, he or him again, to just develop and to just grow and to go as far as. And then when they feel that they've reached the end of the line because they just want to see something else, well, you know what? I always say what goes around comes around. So therefore, if you there's a quote that I have in my mind that I always have. Richard Branson, simple, Virgin, and one of his CEO comes to him and says, "What about we are delivering training to those staff member and they leave?" And he looks at her and he says, "And what if we don't and they stay?" And for me, that's that's the most beautiful and rewarding quote I've had, because it's exactly that. It's what? That person that decided to go will move on to another company and will work hard and show dedication. And that person beside her say, "Where did you learn all that?" "Well, at Hakkasan, at Tao." And then, as I said, what goes around comes around.
Let's go on hiring now, right? I'm sure that you audit your processes, you try and fine tune that as well, because that is the beginning of everything.
Indeed.
What are 3 or 4 things that you uniquely do at Hakkasan, and sort of that you personally also add extra to make sure you filter nicely, that you've got the right person?
Well, it's really using as many platforms as possible. Today, obviously the caterer and all the sort of job platform that are available in the UK.
Can you please name out for other sommeliers to understand the 3 or 4 platforms that you use?
So LinkedIn, caterer. What else? GQ, Zeiss. I don't really deal with that, I'm afraid. Sure. For me, the best thing is more for word of mouth.
So if someone refers,
it's talking to friends of mine, people in the industry. If you hear someone, and vice versa. Oh, I've got a very good guy, or I've got a very fantastic girl. She's looking for something a bit more different of what we do, and so on and so forth. And then it's kind of spreading the word. We're looking for some people. I appreciate everybody is looking for some years nowadays, but on the other hand, you also want to make sure that you secure the right people, because again, the real issue is the commitment. Some people think that, okay, in restaurant I will work only lunches and I will just do this and do that. Well, you also have to be a bit more multitasking, and that's the beauty of this job. You also have a lot of freedom to do what you have to do, as long as you do it well. So the difficulty is that the comprehension, the understanding of what, and especially in an environment like Hakkasan or within the Tao Group, where it's very intense.
So the expectations you want to lay out very clearly in their interview, right? That it's going to be tough.
It's not especially tough. I mean, look,
meaning intense.
Our contract are 48 hours a week. When I started in this country, in this business and in this country, that's what I was doing in 3 days.
Yes.
So Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's a very good thing. Yeah. But on the other hand, I think it's very appropriate.
What are the 3 or 4 questions that you personally ask in an interview?
I think the most crucial is, where do you see yourself in 2 years' time?
Don't you think that can be just a made up thing?
Yeah, well, it can be, but there's also body language that gives you a lot of information where people think they are. I think a resume is always, a good starting point, but there's always things that are not there, and that's what I'm interested in.
Any technical questions you ask?
What's not?
Hey, sell me this, or upsell me, or bring me a tea, or any practical?
No. We talk about business. We talk about people. We know each other. Usually, people that I interview, it comes from someone I know. At least someone I know, because he works there or she works there, and so on and so forth. So that's the technicality is that sort of already seeing how that person reacts, how personal, how nice, how soft they can be, or sometimes a bit angular, or strong personality, and so on and so forth. Then you go a little bit more on the experience, what they got, the positive, the negative. Usually people remember the negative side of each house, which is fine. And then after that, I always sort of finish with one question. Very simple question. What's the VAT in the UK?
That's 20%.
That is actually sometimes quite.
But why do you ask that question? It's 20%, right?
It's 20% indeed. So far, we never know. Yes, because we take it for granted. There's a lot of people that don't know.
I think a lot of immigrants also come here and apply, right? Like a lot of sommeliers are from Italy, Spain. Maybe is that why? Or?
Well, there is that aspect, but also, in the development of each individual, you want to expose them to what duty stands for. How you buy a wine from, duty paid, inbound to duty paid, sure. and so on and so forth, and create that calculation. A lot of people, they enter a price on the left-hand side of their Excel spreadsheet. It comes out on the right-hand side with what the price that it goes onto the wine list, and they don't ask the question what's in the middle. I want to bridge that.
True.
So for me, having a sommelier that understands mathematics, understand how it works, and why a bottle of wine will be £90 on wine list and one will be not in 120. It's not just because it's more expensive to buy. There's also a dynamic in the middle, and that's for their own progression. Again, what goes around comes around. When that people is done with us and he goes somewhere or she goes somewhere else, then she can bring that to the table. I know how to calculate. I know the mathematical behind a bottle of wine. So for me, that's why it's important to ask those sort of questions to understand where people are. Some people just don't know it, don't really are looking for it, are they?
True. You know that they've not put in the work. Like they just came half prepared. So at least you can eliminate some people.
Well, that's also where you understand what's your challenge in front of them, because some people might be, you want to employ that person. What's the matter? You want that person in your team, but you're going to have to take an angle on okay. Hopefully, once you tell them, 20% VAT, that's basically it. That should be quite easy to remember. But nice. It's how you approach it and why you approach it, as you said, and what's the feedback.
Yeah.
And then hopefully it works.
Nice one. Last one. I mean, I really admire you, and I think there are a lot of people in the community that admire you. You've been in the industry. You're a master sommelier. Any closing remarks for sommeliers who are just responsible for teams? On just practical stuff like weekly meetings, what to include, how to start a meeting. Just throw some things that share some wisdom for some others.
I think in today's situation, especially with the staff, the hours, the pressure, the delivery issue, the vintage issue. I mean, every day you deal with a lot of negative. I think the real key of any meeting when you start is to bring the positivity. Bring what worked well, and do not forget to say thank you. On a daily basis, your team going home or you're going home, you go around, you say goodbye, thank you guys, see you tomorrow. That's the foundation for me. Okay. So you're bringing the meeting forward. The first thing, what worked well, why it worked well, what can we improve to make it even better, and then you start to dig to why it worked well and what didn't work well. So you start with the really beautiful thing, then you dig a little bit with the difficult, and then it's like a burger, you know. And then you finish with the good thing again. So like this, what's the dark side is sort of mixed in between positivity. So whatever they come back to the floor with, they still have a smile.